and I and the listener. Okay, so again, the cassava agbado gari, this is where it comes in. This is where the rubber meets the road. So let me just do some sharp analysis on, and I'll break it down. So for us, for the seed, that is cassava stems, stick for layman's language now, to plant that 1.2 million hectares. I do more hectares, okay? To do that 1.2 million hectares will cost about 50 billion, 400 million.
400 million.
Yeah, 50 billion, 400 million naira for the whole land. So 50 billion is waiting for you if you decide to take advantage. Before we talk about the challenges, but the 50 billion is there for tractor, for plowing, that is turning the soil, to prepare the soil to make it fine to grow the crop. We'll be spending 120 billion naira. These are local money for local demand, not even export now. To ridge, which means to make, it's not hips now. Hips is single, a long ridge to elevate it so that the tubers can grow properly. That will take about 48 billion. And these are very conservative figures. To plant those, and I do it like manual, because the reality is that we will not have cassava planters to cover this extent of land. So on that, for planting alone, that will be at 24 billion naira. Local money available for you and I, as in, if this is part of the share we can take this year, in spite of the challenges, okay? When it comes to like spraying, spraying the herbicide to make sure that the weeds don't go or the insects come. But cassava is good with something. It mostly does not have insect attacks and diseases and co. So it's a good crop. That's why we call it insurance crop. We'll be spending about 36 billion naira. That's on the spraying. Then on chemicals, that you will use to keep the weeds maintained, that's about 42 billion naira. Now, so all these monies this year, 2024, if we're able to cultivate the 1.2 million hectares, about 320 billion, 400 million for the grabs for this year. That's a lot of money. And so, and if we break that down into like 2.5 acres, this is something that you and I must, consider to leverage on, because it's not, government has nothing to do with it. Get the lands, get the knowledge. I always talk about knowledge. Knowledge is what you plant to make profit, not cassava stems. You plant, you do everything with knowledge. The revenue or the returns is sure, except sometimes where you have nothing is perfect. Okay, so you have some challenges that may show up that may hinder the thing. But also, if you are working, you're doing a 9 to 5, this is ideal for you because it's long term, and also the demand is really, really huge now, and it's something that we can take advantage of. Now, so when Pricewaterhouse did put that document together, 1.2 million hectares, 28.3 million, they did calculate that means that the yield per hectare, they put it at 24 tons, which is conservative if you take care of the farm the way you should. The yield is way higher than that. So it means that we're in good hands. So let me just narrow it down. So for someone saying, okay, you've said these big numbers, I see that I have a portion that I can take advantage of. It's not something that is abstract. There's in my village, or I know somebody, who does this. Okay, I want to take advantage of it. So the first thing you should pay attention to is your market. In agribusiness, market is number one, not money. Your money is going down the drain if you don't pay attention to market. Research the market. What do I want to grow it for? What's the end use? I did share some time back. Some of my friends who just felt they knew cassava is just cassava. Put money together, I think about 10 million then, that's about 14 years ago. I went to the community and asked the rural people there in their village to say which cassava gives them big tubers. And so they recommended and they planted And when it was harvest time, the cassava was really looking good. When it was harvest time, they uprooted it, and the tuber were very small, you know, and they were like, it's supposed to be big. The stick is big, everything is big. And they also now took samples to the end user now, an industry, and they said, no, the starch content is very low. And so they had two problems at hand. The tubers small, starch content low. So they now came, that was when they now came to me, even though they had access to me. I asked some basic questions, and I asked, what's the name of the variety? We don't know. So I said, what did you ask the people when you wanted to buy? We asked for cassava that will give them big tuber. Okay. So the cassava they gave them was old variety that would take about 2 years. So that initial 1 year was to have good vegetative cover, which is the leaves. The remaining almost 1 year is to make the tuber big. And those tubers, when they are that big, is good for gari, not for industrial purpose. So I'm sure the squirrels, grass cutters, and co really would have thanked God for them, because they devoured the farm. Because they took some loans, and it was to be repaid back in 12 months, okay? And now they had to wait for another 12 months. They could not wait. So the squirrels and the community, you know, really celebrated them, gave God thanks for sending manna, and that was how they lost some money. So it's very crucial. Make sure you're close to a market. One means an end user, that you will not have to be traveling for long. Some people will plant when, you know, we've had to, like, cassava revolution, you know, when a president years back said, oh, we have 500 billion market. Yes. Okay, but how will you make money? The market is there, but how do you make money? And so many people, many bank MDs, many EDs of insurance companies, many top people went to brush to plant cassava. And then they now found out, because the production was high, they now discovered that before you uproot the cassava, the price in the international market was higher. So many of their cassavas rotted away. So you need information, again, is what you plant to make money. You know, so market is very crucial. Know what they want and grow what they want. It has nothing to do about you. Not zero. Then, so after you've taken care of market, the next thing is choice of land. Make sure there is a land that is accessible. Accessible in terms of, so that when it's raining, the roads doesn't get cut off. And you won't be able to bring the tubers out. Okay, make sure the land drains water so that the tubers will be able to do well. Then you have to take a decision. Oh, so right now, they have yellow cassava. You know, when you fry cassava before, you have palm oil. Certain regions of the country eat yellow cassava, so they add palm oil. There is now cassava variety that you don't add palm oil. Instead of white, is yellow. Is yellow, and it's been around for well over 10 years. I've planted it many times, multiplied it. You know, so find out. Don't go and say, oh, they say there's high demand for yellow gari, and you now go and plant it. And the market, the real market that you have access to is the white. So pay attention. The yellow gari is higher in nutrients with vitamin A. So, but there's a huge demand for that also. So if you're planting cassava, are you planting for flour? Are you planting for gari? Are you planting for fufu? Are you planting to sell to people who want for children? So varieties matter. And even when you now say, oh, there's yellow cassava, there are different varieties of yellow cassava.
Okay, let's put a pause to that. Then let's quickly take updates, and then we'll go back to different varieties of cassava. All right, it's still Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, and again, remember that the roads are looking good around the Lagos Abeokuta Expressway quickly for those around that location. However, if you're coming from Oshu, the environs, according to, of course, at that's our life reporter, Raphael. Okay, he says that Oshodi Inwetikeja Long is quite busy. Oshodi Inwetikeja Long is a very busy movement, and of course, connecting into the flyover is that Ikeja flyover bridge is quite busy because, of course, we have just one lane available. Once you pull away from that location, the rest of journey is much better into Mongoro. Also, we have a very slow movement on Bonnet Camp Road towards Ozumba Mbadiwe corridor due to an impediment of a broken down tanker on Mekwen Bridge. Okay, so currently there is an impediment of a broken down tanker at Mekwen Bridge in North CMS, but efforts are on to get it evacuated. So please be patient. And last but not the least, for those around Ogolonto axis, that's around the Korodu, the earlier reported vehicles that were involved in an accident have been evacuated successfully. So again, please drive safely, drive within the specified speed limit. Remember that you can also lend a voice to our discussion at hand, which is cassava, okay, unveiling cassava gold mine. And of course, to connect with us this morning and sharing your questions, you might have questions, you might even have complaints. Maybe you haven't started a business, you might have started cassava business, but it's not yielding as you want, yielding profit as you want. African Farmer Mogaji is here to answer all your questions. So please connect with us using our studio line, which is 0809 91207777 or 0915 387 7127. All right, so back to you, African Farmer. It's a farm school on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM with African Farmer Mogaji. And again, like I said, you can send in your questions. This is the time to ask questions. Knowledge is key, like African Farmer Mogaji said. So please ask your questions. 0809 91207777 is the number. All right, so we're talking about different varieties of cassava.
Yes.
So can you
So you know, many people, I've come across many people who would say that, oh, there's a variety that is popular called 419.
419.
Yeah, it's called 419. So after the researchers called it 419, later they now began to try to call it 419. But the deed has been done, just like they mentioned, genetically modified organism, GMO. They couldn't undo that. So that variety is very good. Good for starch, good for flour. However, it doesn't do well in all soils.
Oil soil.
Yeah, so it's very crucial that you make inquiry from enlightened people, not people who want to sell their products. Okay? So in case you don't find and you want one, there's a 30572. 30572. That one does well anywhere in the country. It delivers the starch, it delivers everything you need. It's hardy and cool, you know. So but there are so many varieties. In fact, there are new varieties that just came out now, very good in yield. But find out, make sure you are able to know.
All right, we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name, please, and where you calling from?
Am I on here?
Yes, you are. Live and direct.
Oh, I would like to speak with the management. Not really. I don't have any other number.
All right. It's still Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. And, of course, African Farmer Mogaji, please, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's talk a bit around time of planting. Okay. So, this part of the year is the time to begin to prepare to plant. Okay, so the one thing, if you plant early, meaning you maintain the weeds more. Okay, there will be more weeds. But if you plant varieties, so look for varieties that branch out, that the leaves branch out, and is also very hardy. What does that mean? Okay, if it branches out, it would create a bigger canopy, and you'll be able to maintain weeds better. Okay, so if you're planting now, that means you can harvest early. This is mostly the off-season. February, March, you know, is mostly off-season. You need rains to uproot it. So if you plant early, you grow all through the year, and you can also cash out early. So the first few rains of the year, you can begin to uproot when the demand is high and the supply is low. That's the part of the dynamics of this business. Okay, and for some people who maybe labor is not readily available, plan towards the latter part of the year, such that the weeds will not take over the farm, and through the dry season it's okay. Then mid-rain, you are able to harvest. But like I said again, your market should determine what you should focus on. The varieties you should plant is what meets the demand of the end user, the person you plan to sell to. It's very crucial. Then when it comes to yield, different varieties have different yields. Okay, and also the soil pattern also determines if you're planting the variety that does well with the soil, you have a good outing. But I would just advise, ask for varieties that does well almost anywhere. Because the truth is, the honest truth is, many people will claim this is the variety, sell you another variety, and you may have a challenge. So buy a common variety that they say will do well, matures in 12 months. So most times, many people harvest their cassava earlier. Okay, you lost a lot. Between 9 months to like 12 months, the yield, gets bigger. So if you harvest earlier, then you've lost quite a lot of money. I haven't waited for so much. Just wait for 3 months and you're going to be doing very well. So cassava is something that I recommend now, and it gives a lot of peace of mind. You don't have to manage so much, but you have to make sure that the land preparation, it's a clean plot that you're planting inside. That's very crucial. If you miss that, you lose the money, because the weeds will compete with the crops, and it doesn't show that the yield will drop until close to harvest. The stick will always be good. It's what is inside the soil, and also make sure that there's logistics in terms of trucks or buses or pickups that would move the produce. If you don't have that, don't produce. Because at the end of the day, if it's long distance from the farm to the location or to the main road, you have a bumper harvest, but a chunk of it will go into logistics. You don't want to wait for 1 year and spend all the money on logistics. So it should be closer to main road or closer to a park, but it should never be too far, that transporters, because transporters will charge you also based on that.
And they should also know their market, which is